Sometimes a song plays or you walk past a familiar street corner, and a feeling you lost years ago stabs you right in the heart. We all miss something, a person, a memory, a day. Sometimes just a quiet afternoon. Sometimes a look that's never coming back. And the strange thing is, longing doesn't only hurt, it can burn and make us smile at the same time. So here's the question. Should we forget the past? Or is it how we carry it that makes us stoic? Stoic philosophy is often misunderstood, as if it's about suppressing emotions, turning your back on the past. But true stoicism leaves space for every feeling, even longing, maybe especially longing. Because longing is one of our deepest ties to the past. But it's also the mind being trapped in a time that no longer exists. So in this video, we're going to ask, how does a stoic man make peace with the past? What does he do when that ache shows up? How does he honor a memory without getting lost in it? If you've ever stared at a photo for far too long, this video is for you. But I'm not going to tell you to forget. You've already heard just move on too many times. I'm going to offer something else, a way back to yourself without letting go of what you remember. So let's ask the real question. What is longing, this quiet ache, in the eyes of a stoic? Longing. It sounds like an emotional word, doesn't it? But to a stoic, longing isn't just a feeling, it's a way of thinking. Because stoicism always looks beneath the emotion to the thought that's driving it. Seneca once said, "To be happy is not to forget the past, but not to let it chain you." So when you miss someone, it's not just because they're gone. It's because your mind is still trying to hold on. This was mine. This belonged to me. It should have lasted forever. The more your mind clings to that idea, the deeper longing carves itself into you. For the stoic man, longing isn't a weakness to be repressed. It's an illusion to be understood. Because when you long for the past, you're not just remembering, you're resisting the present. Your mind leaves now and escapes into what-ifs. Marcus Aurelius said, "The past is gone. The future isn't here. The only time you own is now." A stoic doesn't deny the past, but he doesn't let it run the present either. So what does that actually mean? Does he protect himself from longing? He does something more powerful. He notices it. He lets it arrive, like a guest. And he doesn't fight it, but he doesn't hand it the keys either. Because some emotions knock at your door. Whether you welcome them or not, they still come. The stoic man doesn't fight his emotions, but he doesn't surrender to them either. He moves through them, and as he does, he remembers, it's not the emotion itself that defines you, it's the meaning you attach to it. But here's something deeper. Longing isn't always about missing someone. Sometimes you miss a city, sometimes an old version of your life, and sometimes you miss a version of yourself that no longer exists. At the center of longing, there's often disappointment, an unlived possibility, a version of you that never got to happen, and your mind keeps replaying it, as if the things you didn't do back then make you incomplete now. But the Stoic asks a brutal question. If the past cannot change, why are you still trying to live in it? It sounds simple, but it breaks something open. Because many of us hold on to longing like a habit. Remembering that person reminds us of who we once were. Reliving that moment tells us we can still feel something. And in a way, that's the warmth of longing. But also it's slow poison. It keeps you warm, but it slowly pulls you away from the present. That's where the stoic man makes a choice. He'll make peace with his past, but he won't lean on it. He'll honor his memories, but he won't turn them into altars. And he'll realize something. Longing is the echo of something that once lived in you, but no longer does. You can hear that echo, but don't walk in its direction. This is what Stoicism teaches: let the past teach you, but don't let it drive you. So let's ask again, is longing human? Yes. But for the Stoic man, that's not the question. The real question is, what do you do with it? How much space do you give it? And sometimes the only way to move forward is to glance back, smile, and keep walking. And as you walk, what should the Stoic man never do? What makes longing take over? Which traps should he avoid? We'll talk about all of that in the next chapter. Next. When longing shows up, most people feel the need to do something. Either they try to suppress it, or they give in completely. But the Stoic man does neither, because both paths lead to the same mistake: letting emotions take the wheel. Many people try to bury their longing. When an old lover comes to mind, they quickly distract themselves. When a memory surfaces, they immediately shut it down. I shouldn't be thinking about this anymore, they say. But they forget one thing. The more you suppress emotions, the deeper they take root. Like seeds buried underground, just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not growing. The Stoic man doesn't suppress longing, but he also avoids another trap: turning longing into a romantic shrine. Some people keep staring at the same photo, listening to the same song on repeat, replaying one moment in their minds over and over again, as if they never want to leave it. And slowly, without realizing it, that memory stops being a place. It becomes an escape. Here's what the Stoic man doesn't do. He doesn't feed his longing. He doesn't build stories around it. No, what if things had gone differently? No, if only I had sent that message. No, maybe there's still hope. No. The Stoic man recognizes those thoughts, but he doesn't follow them, because he knows those thoughts exist only to keep you stuck in the past. And living in the past means losing the present. There's a Stoic concept called prohairesis, the seat of your will, the one thing you truly own, your ability to choose, not your feelings, not your memories, not your past. Only this, what you decide to do now. So when longing hits, the Stoic man makes a choice. Will he let that emotion carry him away? Or will he acknowledge it and move forward anyway? And here's a crucial distinction. The Stoic man is not emotionless. Far from it. He feels deeply. But he doesn't let those feelings take control, because he understands. Inside longing, there's a hidden danger. You start to feel sorry for yourself. You start seeing the absence of the past as something missing in you. And soon you're asking, why me? But here's what the Stoic man doesn't do. He doesn't slip into the victim role. He doesn't use the past as an excuse. He doesn't carry his wounds around just to show others how much he suffered. He doesn't wear his pain like a medal, because the Stoic man knows. Drawing strength from pain isn't about hiding behind longing. Real strength is walking tall with it, without making a scene. He doesn't say, I've forgotten. He simply says, I'm here. Not in the past, but right here, right now. Sometimes doing nothing is a choice, and the Stoic man can sit with his emotions in conscious silence. He doesn't speak. He doesn't overshare. But that doesn't mean he's suppressing anything. It means he's staying centered. And that center, that's his greatest strength. So what should you do when longing shows up? How does the Stoic man respond to that feeling? Not what he avoids, but what he actively chooses to do. That's the question we'll answer. In the next part, the Stoic man doesn't fight longing. He doesn't suppress it, deny it, or pretend it's not there. But he doesn't center his life around it either. So, what does he do? Step 1. Acceptance. He recognizes longing as a reality. Yes, I miss them. But then he adds a second line. But I won't let this feeling take over. To a Stoic, longing isn't an enemy. It's just an emotion, a wave. It rises, it peaks, and then it fades. The Stoic man knows this. The more you resist a feeling, the more power it gains. Suppressing it is like burying it underground. It doesn't go away. It comes back stronger. That's why when longing shows up, he simply watches it, like watching a cloud move through the sky. He doesn't identify with it. He doesn't call it me. He just notices. I'm missing someone right now. I just remembered a moment from the past. There's a slight ache in me. But he doesn't cling to that ache. He doesn't build stories on top of it. He doesn't turn the feeling into a part of his identity. This is the Stoic stance, quiet but strong. Step 2, interpretation. As the emotion passes through him, he asks himself, what is this longing trying to tell me? Is there something to learn from it? And sometimes the answer is simple. I loved. I cared. I lived. Which leads to step 3, gratitude. The Stoic man gives thanks for what he had, without turning it into regret, without turning the past into an enemy of the present. He simply says, I'm glad it happened. It's no longer here, and that's okay. Because the Stoic worldview accepts the cycle of nature. Everything passes, everything changes, nothing lasts forever. Epictetus once said, accept everything as if it was loaned to you, not given. The Stoic man doesn't cling to the beautiful things he experienced. He sees them as gifts from nature, and if they're gone, he doesn't demand them back, because he knows beauty may not return. But even the memory of it has value. Dealing with longing isn't about fighting it, it's about not becoming it. Because once you become your longing, you lose the present. And the Stoic man doesn't accept that. So he walks forward, quietly. He feels the emotion, but keeps moving toward the future. It is possible to live with longing, but without being swallowed by it. To feel the wind of it, but not be carried away. Which brings us to step 4, staying centered. For the Stoic man, every emotion is just passing weather, but the center, his core, that must stay firm. Because in that center there's freedom, there's will, there's you. That's why when the Stoic man feels longing, he doesn't lose himself. He sits, he breathes. He might stay silent for a few minutes, but he doesn't disappear into that silence. He finds himself in it. And finally, step 5, action. For the Stoic, real transformation happens through movement. Taking a step, owning a task, talking to a friend, going for a walk, moving toward a goal. Because longing wants to freeze you. But the Stoic chooses to move. That's not forgetting. That's growing stronger. So now that we've learned how to handle longing, how should we look at the past? Can we truly leave it behind? Or for the Stoic man, is the past a quiet presence he always carries with him? In the final chapter, we'll explore what a healthy relationship with the past really looks like. The past. Most of the time it's a memory, but sometimes it's a burden. It can show up like a beautiful sunset, bringing a quiet smile, or like a word left unsaid, cutting deep, then falling silent. But no matter how it appears, one truth remains. We're not there anymore, and we can't stay there. To the Stoic man, the past is neither a shelter nor a prison, so what is it? To him, the past is simply a teacher. Nothing more, nothing less. Its meaning is not exaggerated, but its impact is not denied either. That's why making peace with the past doesn't mean forgetting it. The Stoic doesn't move on by erasing the past. He finds peace by placing it in its proper place. He doesn't romanticize his memories, but he doesn't keep replaying his pain either. What he does is simple. He looks back and asks, what did this teach me? What can I carry forward into today? Because the past itself doesn't shape you, the meaning you give it does. Were you abandoned, cheated on? Did you grow up in scarcity? Did you feel invisible? All of that may be true, but the Stoic man responds with one question: who am I now? Because the past doesn't define you, but it can build you if you let it. That's why the Stoic doesn't blame the past, and he doesn't blame himself. He tries to see things clearly, as they were, and he starts living from there. Now let's be honest, this isn't easy, because the emotions tied to the past are strong. Sometimes all it takes is a smell, a street corner, a song, and suddenly your mind is pulled back years in an instant. But that's where the Stoic steps in. He notices the emotion. He doesn't suppress it, but he doesn't follow it either. He steps back like a witness. This feeling is familiar, he says. My mind wants to go back. But then he gently reminds himself, I'm not there, and I don't belong there anymore. He doesn't try to stay inside the past, but he doesn't try to erase it either, because he knows forgetting is just another form of resistance, and resistance is just another war in the mind. But the Stoic doesn't choose war. He chooses understanding. He accepts the past, with its pain, its beauty, its missing pieces, and then he returns to today. This is radical simplicity, and within it, deep wisdom. Stoicism reminds you, everything you've lived has led you here. Your story isn't just made of victories, it's made of wounds too. And if you still carry those wounds, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've made it this far. If you're still walking, you've already overcome your past. Making peace with the past isn't about excusing it. It's about not poisoning yourself with it. It's not about forgetting everything to find peace. It's about not letting it define you anymore. For the Stoic man, the past is not a home, but it's a place he can visit. He walks through the door, looks around, maybe smiles, maybe sighs, and then he leaves, because life is here. Now, and this is where the Stoic lives. So now let's ask, with everything you've seen and felt, how do you turn longing from the past into action in the present? That's what we'll explore in the closing chapter. But before we move on, there's something we need to remember. Every feeling of longing is a sign that something inside you is still alive. If you still feel longing, it means you still love. It means your heart is still open. And that doesn't go against Stoicism. Because being Stoic doesn't mean being emotionless. It means learning how to lead your emotions, not be led by them. And that begins by recognizing them. Some people feel weak because they still long. They ask themselves, why does this still affect me? Why haven't I moved on? It's been years. Why is this still in my mind? But the Stoic man does something different. He doesn't pity himself. He doesn't shame himself. He doesn't treat the emotion as an enemy. Instead, he says, it means I lived. It means my heart was open. It means the world still touches me. And maybe that's the greatest courage of all, to walk forward, without denying what you feel and without being swallowed by it. Longing is a feeling from the past, but you live in the present. And if you understand the roots of that feeling, you won't let it throw you off course. Remember this. Longing is what makes you human. But if you can feel longing and still take responsibility, that's what makes you Stoic. And maybe this is the quietest definition of Stoicism: to do the right thing, even when your heart aches. Longing is a deeply human thing. It's one of those rare feelings that reminds you still belong to this world. But there's a big difference between being swept away by longing and walking with it. The Stoic man doesn't leave the past behind, but he doesn't carry it like a burden either. He holds the past in his heart, but every step he takes is toward the future, because he knows the simplest way to honor the past is to live the present with presence. If you miss someone, a moment, a version of yourself, that doesn't make you incomplete. But if you start using that longing as your compass, you begin to drift away from who you are. Before we end this video, ask yourself one thing. Is the past still guiding you? Or is it just walking beside you? If deep down you're still hoping some things might return, know that's a weight. But if you feel deep gratitude for all that has happened, that's freedom. The Stoic man doesn't resent the past. He doesn't erase it, but he doesn't fight with it either. He simply carries its lessons and moves on. Because in the end, it's not about letting go of the past. It's about choosing today while being at peace with yesterday. And sometimes, the strongest move you can make is not turning back, but taking one quiet step forward.